Hey guys, it's Hayden here from GameDay Squad, and I'm here to bring you another edition of Takeaways, where I give you my top 5 takeaways from the weekend of AFL footy. GameDay Squad is the only Australian fantasy sport platform that uses blockchain technology in the form of player cards that are digital assets that you own and that you'll be able to buy, sell and trade with other coaches. We're still in the beta phase, but head to gamdaysquad.com.au to start opening up your free starter packs. But for now, let's get into the takeaways. So let's start with a breakdown of my previous takeaway predictions. I really enjoy doing this each week and actually following along with how I went with my predictions, so I thought I would keep score. So number 1, Women's Grand Final was a belter, which it absolutely was. That was a tick. Carlton got it done without Cripps, barely, tick. And my last week prediction, which is Toby Green will be a handful, and he wasn't, unfortunately. He got around it a little bit. He's such an intelligent player, but he was a little bit unfit, and fair enough, he's missed a fair bit of footy. Umpires also hate him. There was a few free kicks that were there that he missed, which would have made him a handful if he got a couple of sneaky goals out of that. But nevertheless, we'll move on to my first takeaway, which is that the Umpire Descent rule needs to be reviewed. Now, this has been a hot topic this past couple of weeks in AFL land, and Brad Scott, the general manager of football at the AFL, said last week that there is no acceptable level of dissent. But what does that mean? What is dissent? And that's pretty hard to agree with Brad Scott when you look at, there's a clip going around social media at the moment that he's yelling and screaming at umpires in his coaching days, and I'm sure in his playing days he's given the umpires a fair bit too. Now, I'm actually for the direction that the AFL is trying to go here to actually cut down dissent. When you are an umpire at the lower levels, it is brutal. I had to do a bit of umpiring when I worked for AFL Queensland as part of the job description, and if I didn't need to do it, I wouldn't be doing it, because yeah, they are brutal. The fans, you make one wrong decision or whatever, they'll let you know, and they'll let you know in no uncertain terms. So I'm a fan of the direction of looking out for the umpires, and because that's going to have some roll-on effects for those younger grades. But throwing your hands out at a decision is not dissent. That is ridiculous. And it's divisive though, because some people sit in the camp is we need to be thinking about how we get more umpires into the game, and we need to have a no rule, like there is no acceptable level of dissent, which is the line that Brad Scott used. And then there's people in the other camp that are saying, hey, this is football, it's an emotive game. And I think people who used to play football forget what it's actually like to play football, like Brad Scott there. Football is a game where you're going at top speed, it's a physical game, it's super quick, you're going to make decisions on the run, and your body will just do things. It will just react in the moment. And if there's a decision that you don't necessarily agree with, you throw your hands out. I don't think that should be dissent. But if you continue to throw your hands out, if you continue to talk back to the umpire, to swear, to continue to question, I'm all for giving free 50s. But yeah, for a 50 metres for throwing your hands out, not going to cut it. Because a 50-metre penalty is worth more than a 50-metre penalty. It's such a momentum shift. It's a free momentum shift that isn't earned. And footy is such a game of momentum. One team is hot for 10 minutes, and you'll generally see a team, they'll get on a run and they'll score a few goals in a row, and then it'll be the other team's turn to have that run and score a couple of goals. So to wrestle that momentum back for free off a low level, throwing out the arms, needs to be reviewed. Have a look at it, AFL. But still keep the focus on the actual dissent, because that's what needs to be focused on. Takeaway number 2 is that Max King still has the yips. 1.7 on the weekend, 1 goal, 7 behinds. And this was following a 3-2, 4-1, 4-3 and 4-1. So he's been in red hot form. And yeah, he's such a confidence player, Max King. He started his first game, he scored 1 goal, 3 behinds. And I was thinking, oh no, because he had issues with his goal kicking last year. He actually reached out to Matthew Lloyd within 20 minutes of a game that he scored 1 goal, 5 behinds in last year. And he said, I need some help me out. Which the Saints later blocked and said, no, we want one voice here. And Matthew Lloyd's like, yep, no worries. But that's just a peek into the mindset of Max King. This is on his mind. And as a forward, I've been in that situation before where you're not in good form and you have the yips. It's not good. And the last thing you want is for your inaccuracy to become a thing that everybody is thinking about, including yourself, when you're taking a shot for goal. And that's all he'll be thinking about next week when he lines up thinking, I just scored 7 behinds last week. How's this one going to go? So, yeah, I'm really interested to see how he goes up next week, because how you finish a game one week is generally how you start the game next week. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do. I'm not sure about the support staff at St Kilda, but I think Max would really benefit from some intensive psych work where they can actually focus on getting that mentality right, because goal kicking is a mentality game. It's a routine and a mentality, and if one of those two things isn't working, then you need to tune up. Takeaway number 3 is that the game is better for having characters in it. Now, Jack Ginnivan, the Anzac Day medalist, wasn't he a superstar on the weekend? And I think he really deserved that Anzac Day medal. The thing I love most about him, though, is his energy. His ability to bring the energy out of his other teammates as well. There was celebrations for Myercheck, Cameron, Taylor Adams, Grundy. They all really got around their celebrations, and I love to see that as an AFL player. Like, when an AFL player gets up and about, that's the best. The shush that Ginnivan gave to those Essendon supporters was unreal. I loved it. The women's, the AFL women's, they actually do this really well. They love their celebrations. They get in, they get around it, and I think it's good for the game. Now, I enjoyed that Craig McRae, the Collingwood coach, he actually supported his team, and especially Ginnivan, and got around him and said, hey, we like you being you, we like you expressing yourself, and we want more of that. And it's working pretty well for him so far. They're doing a lot better this year than many had thought they were going to do. And, you know, you look at comparatively, there was a moment for Essendon in the game where in the last quarter, I want to run you through a scenario here. So Stringer kicked a really tough goal, and it was a good goal from Stringer, to actually give them a chance. They were in striking distance. And he gave like a small little come on, like, you know, a little one. And then this was followed by a Grundy goal, and Grundy really got up and about. I think this was after he'd hurt his knee, so he was pretty happy with himself. It looked like he kicked the sealer, and it followed by who kicked the last goal? Waterman. Waterman kicked the final goal for the game, and after he kicked that goal, they were still in the game, and he gave nothing. That was the least emotive celebration I've ever seen. And one has to wonder, when in a critical time like that, when there's a little bit left and the other team scores a goal, they're still in it, what would of a big celebration where he rallied the troops, got everybody around, pumped everybody up, that would have made the Collingwood midfielders really nervous in that next centre bounce, and who knows. But I'm a fan of these guys in the game, the energy, the emotion. I think it's great, and I think we need more characters in the game. And I think people like Kane Corns, Mick Malthouse, Wayne Carey have all come out. They're all old footy players. I think they need to shush up, as Ginnivan would let them know to shush. And I think we encourage that sort of behaviour in AFL. Now, takeaway number 4 is that the buddy review from the MRP, I think they got it right. Now, he was seen, there was a free kick for the Swans in the forward line, and Buddy, he wanted to sneak a goal, so he wanted to take the advantage, and he grabbed the ball, and he quickly turned around, and he kind of bumped the umpire a bit. And after Toby Green's massive suspension last year, which was not very high contact, but it was intentional, this was completely the opposite. This was not intentional at all. Buddy was not trying to hit the umpire. The umpire was just there and he got in the way. And AFL is a contact sport. AFL is a quick sport. I think that to expect players to always be considerate of the umpire as they're turning around in a quick situation, I think that's a bit much. So I was really glad that the MRP threw that straight out and said, no, not intentional, not high contact, not high intensity, so we're going to throw it out. So well done, MRP. You get them right sometimes, not all the times. And takeaway number 5 is the identical twins, Harry and Ben Mackay. I don't believe that identical twins. I think there's only one of them, because Ben Mackay's 1 game ban for rough conduct last week means that we will miss the highly anticipated matchup that they have avoided for 7 years. Ben plays for North Melbourne, Harry for Carlton, obviously. And yes, 7 years, they're identical twins. They look exactly alike. And they've never played against each other. There's always been a reason. Form, injury, suspension. And I thought it was suspect that Ben's tackle was in the last couple of minutes of his game in the last week's round. So I think he knew that it was coming up and he needed to do something so that they could continue this deal that they've got on, where this Harry and Ben Mackay play 2 games a week each week. Plays a little bit better for Carlton, obviously. So yeah, a little bit suspect, and I'm interested to one day see the day when they match up on each other. And my takeaway prediction for next week is that Tex Walker will kick a bag against GWS, a struggling GWS. This bloke is a man on a mission. He's come back. Obviously, everybody knows what he was suspended for, and he has just said, I'm going to let my footy do the talking, and he has led Adelaide in the last couple of weeks to some really strong wins. He hasn't done it all, obviously, but they are such a powerhouse when Tex is playing the way that he's doing, and I think that they're going to have another roll-on of momentum. You start the game the way you finished the last, and Adelaide are red hot at the moment, and GWS are not. So I think that they will struggle against a red hot Adelaide, and I think Tex will kick a bag. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that will go. I think Adelaide's got a couple of harder games after that, so that'll let us know where they're at. But for next week, Tex is going to be licking his lips and thinking 3, 4, 5 goals, 6 goals. It's all on offer here. So good luck, Tex, and hopefully you'll prove me right. So that's it from me, guys. Thank you for watching. Thanks for checking out the takeaways. Remember, we've got some other shows on this channel. If you're into NRL, we do NRL fantasy as well, but we've also got the AFL fantasy preview and review shows with the other guys there. They do great shows there. They give you updates, let you know what's happening, let you know who's out, which is super helpful. Kerm gives his weekly updates, which is great. That's something that I use personally. But yeah, check those out. Make sure you like and subscribe to this video. Leave a comment. Let me know what your takeaway prediction for this week is. Thanks, guys. I'll see you in the next one.